Welcome back to the channel. Today's investigation examines one of the most disturbing political scandals to ever emerge from America's heartland. It's a case that blends high-level influence, financial fraud, whispered accusations, and destroyed evidence, all orbiting one small credit union in Omaha, Nebraska. This episode is not about sensationalism. It's about following the paper trail, the testimony, and the unanswered questions that still linger decades later. So settle in. This is the Franklin Cover-Up. Chapter 1. The credit union that should have been ordinary. In the early 1980s, the Franklin Community Federal Credit Union looked like any other financial institution serving Omaha's lower-income communities. At its center was the charismatic director Lawrence E. King Jr., a rising Republican figure who sang at national conventions and mingled with politicians far beyond Nebraska. To the public, King was a symbol of success, a man who appeared to lift his community through outreach programs and influence. But behind the polished image, federal auditors were already raising eyebrows. Missing funds, unusual account activity, and a credit union expanding far beyond its legal boundaries. What seemed like minor accounting irregularities would soon spiral into one of the most controversial investigations in modern political history, a story many believe was buried intentionally. Chapter 2. Money Missing. Stories Emerging. By the mid-1980s, auditors uncovered a massive discrepancy inside the Franklin Credit Union, nearly $40 million missing. That alone should have sparked a straightforward financial crime investigation. Instead, something stranger happened. As investigators dug deeper, young witnesses came forward claiming the financial scandal was only the surface. They described parties, politicians, and a secret world of exploitation that stretched far beyond Omaha. Their accounts were graphic, unsettling, and politically explosive. Suddenly, the Franklin case wasn't just about embezzlement. It was about influence, silence, and who gets protected when accusations pierce the fabric of powerful institutions. The witnesses' credibility became the battleground, and the higher the accusations reached, the faster the system seemed to close in around them. Chapter 3. The grand jury that turned its back. A grand jury was convened in 1990 to examine the allegations. Many expected a sweeping investigation. Instead, the jury concluded that the abuse claims were a carefully crafted hoax, and then charged several of the young witnesses with perjury. This decision shocked observers. Critics argued that the jury seemed uninterested in pursuing leads, interviewing key figures, or following financial connections. Instead, the focus shifted toward discrediting the accusers. Important evidence went unexamined. Testimonies were dismissed outright. And despite admitted financial crimes within the credit union, the broader allegations were shut down. To many, the grand jury's conclusion felt like a predetermined outcome, one that conveniently protected influential individuals rather than seeking the truth. Chapter 4. Destroyed evidence and the silencing of investigators. Multiple investigators later reported roadblocks, intimidation, and deliberate efforts to undermine their work. Private Detective Gary Caradori, hired by the Nebraska legislature, claimed he found photographic evidence and testimonies that corroborated the witnesses' accounts. Then, in July 1990, Caradori died in a mysterious mid-air plane explosion while returning from a meeting with a source. His briefcase, allegedly containing the evidence, was never found. Federal authorities quickly dismissed foul play, but many within the investigation weren't convinced. Meanwhile, documents went missing, leads evaporated, and anyone who pushed further faced reputational or legal pressure. The official investigation seemed less about uncovering wrongdoings and more about preventing certain doors from being opened. Chapter 5. The media's strange role and the unseen narrative. Local and national media outlets initially reported the story aggressively, covering the financial scandal and the shocking allegations attached to it. But coverage shifted rapidly. Some journalists backed out, citing pressure. Others reversed earlier reporting, echoing the hoax conclusion without addressing contradictory evidence. A documentary crew created a film called Conspiracy of Silence, which was scheduled to air on national television. But at the last moment, it was pulled and never broadcast. Copies were reported destroyed. This sudden media retreat left many wondering, was it caution, legal pressure, or something more coordinated? When information vanishes, stories collapse, and narratives align perfectly with political interests, people begin to suspect a deliberate effort to control the message. Chapter 6. The survivors who refused to disappear. Despite indictments, intimidation, and relentless character attacks, several witnesses refused to back down. They continued telling their stories in court, in interviews, and later in books and documentaries. Some faced prison for perjury. Others were ostracized or labeled unreliable. Yet their accounts remained consistent over decades. The more they were silenced, the more supporters believed that the system was protecting someone far more powerful than a local credit union director. When patterns of testimony overlap, when independent witnesses describe the same locations and events, and when accusations bring enormous personal cost to those making them, it challenges the public to question whether the easy explanation is truly the accurate one. Chapter 7. What we know and what we don't. Today, the Franklin scandal exists in a strange limbo, officially settled, yet perpetually questioned. We know King was convicted, but only for financial crimes. We know evidence vanished, investigators died, and witnesses were punished. What we don't know is exactly how far the alleged network reached. Were the accusations exaggerated? Were powerful actors shielded? Or was the grand jury correct? The truth sits buried beneath conflicting reports, sealed records, and testimony that never received a full examination. When an event leaves this many loose ends, and this many people determined to keep those ends from being tied together, the public is left with suspicion, unresolved questions, and a lingering sense of injustice. Chapter 8. The unsolved questions that still haunt the case. Franklin's scandal remains a reminder of how fragile truth becomes when politics, power, and public image collide. Whether the deeper allegations were real or not, the investigation's failures are undeniable. Missing evidence, unpursued leads, silenced voices, and abrupt institutional closure. Cases like Franklin don't simply fade. They echo. They challenge future investigators to look harder, question deeper, and avoid easy conclusions. And they remind us that when official narratives feel too tidy, too convenient, or too protective, it may be because the real story was never meant to be told. As we close this chapter, we're left with a question that still divides researchers today. What truly happened in Omaha? And why did so many fight to keep us from knowing? Thank you for watching. If this episode raised questions for you, you're not alone. The Franklin case remains one of the most debated and contested investigations of its era. Stay curious, stay critical, and join me next time as we continue uncovering the hidden stories history tried to bury.